So far, justice appears to be dead. At least in my brother Joseph's neck of the woods in Maryland. Separating the truth from the lies. Coming at you from underneath the Noonan, Georgia, heavily chemtrailed sky. About to receive a dose of the shock treatment. Take a look at Brother Joseph Shock. Does that look like a happy guy? Does that look like a guy that's had a great life? Well, the answer is no. Fresh out of the box, or I should say womb, he was mistreated by his biological mother, which caused him to have some issues in his behavior, and some mental issues, and which also spilled over into his behavior as a kid. So my mother married my dad, which was his biological father, Joseph's biological father. She inherited 3 kids, including Joseph, and well, he was pretty much had a lot of mental problems, a lot of issues, behavior-wise. So they took Joseph to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist says, you either put him in an institution or you're going to be, basically, they would have went after my parents somehow, some way. All right? They didn't know what to do, so they put him in to get him help. So Joseph was institutionalized from the get-go, and it all stems from his biological mother mistreating him. I'm just going to leave it at that. Very bad, as a matter of fact. Abuse. So Joseph got out of the, the home institution when he was a teenager, I think 17 or 18, and came here to Noonan to live. And he lived here for a while. Some people took advantage of him. A duo from the same school I went to, I'm not going to name names, but I don't forget, took advantage of him, one of the brothers, and among other people. Long story short, Joseph had to go back to live with other relatives in a northern state. I want to say Pennsylvania, could have been New York, one or the other. And he got in some trouble, and I'm not going to get into details about that, but it cost him. He wound up going into prison for 20 years. And basically, wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. He gets out of prison finally on good behavior, role model behavior. He gets out early. He told him, Joseph, don't hook up with any women. Don't get a girlfriend. Focus on you. Focus on getting a job, making money, getting a place to live, establishing yourself. Unfortunately, Joseph did meet someone, and she was a kook. And Joseph takes medications, especially for his anxiety and depression, stuff like that. And when he feels like he's getting anxiety, he needs his medicine. Well, the bitch wouldn't let him in the house. So he tried to get in. Nothing bad, like not doing damage or anything like that. But she calls the police and claims that he was kicking the door or basically trying to destroy the door to get inside. Meanwhile, I think it was the screen door was already dilapidated. So it was fake news. So whose side did the cops over there in Salisbury take, huh? Salisbury, Maryland cops. I believe it was Salisbury. They took the kook side. They didn't take Joseph's side. That's is that justice or injustice? That's injustice. So I think justice is dead, especially over that neck of the woods. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, right, Joseph? Prove us wrong. You were basically put back in jail because of a bitch that lied on you. All right? And the cops took her side with no proof. Since when do you go to prison with no proof? Since when do you go to jail with no proof? All right? No proof. He gets out early on that one on good behavior. By the way, most prisoners, when they get out of jail, they find God in jail and then they lose Jesus. They lose Jesus once they leave. Jesus never lost Joseph. Joseph went to church when he got out of, even as a homeless person, went to church. All right? So Joseph is trying to do the right thing, and it's either people screwing him over. Well, basically that's what it is. People screwing him over constantly. And of course, because he got out of jail, I guess they took her word for it instead of taking his word, listening to both sides of the story. First of all, there was no proof. No proof that he kicked the door in or something like that. And she was a nut job. We talked to her. She was a nut job. I told Joseph she's a kook. He had to find out the hard way. But Joseph was working constantly. Even when he had that girlfriend, he was always working, always looking for work and always working. All right? Even when he was homeless. So, well, let's roll to the next bout of jail time. So he's out on parole, right? And Joseph wanted to was at work. Where was it? Was it Church's Chicken? Was it Popeyes? I think I want to say Popeyes or Bojangles. I think it was Popeyes. But don't quote me. It doesn't matter. Wherever he was at. By the way, I don't think they paid him his $800 paycheck. They owed him something like that, because when he went back into jail again, because he just got off work, had to leave to go to parole, but he wanted to go home and take a shower and look presentable. He calls up his parole officer, his non-white parole officer. I'm going to leave it at that. And he says, I'm gonna be there, but I might be a few minutes late, which he was. She says, oh, that's okay. Frank's setting him up. This is the second time, again, setting him up to go back into jail. So he was a few minutes late, but he did show up. Gets arrested, gets thrown in jail. Can you believe that? That's the second time since he was out from the 20-year sentence that he served, or almost 20 years. Yeah, I'd have a frown too, Joseph, because they're not doing right by you. It's an injustice over there in your neck of the woods, and this is an example of how it is, in America as a whole. There is no real justice. I mean, they're going to take someone's word for it without a proof? It's bullshit getting thrown in jail. So anybody can say anything. Why isn't Hillary in jail with all the proof on her? Why isn't Obama and all those other friggin' communists in jail? The enemies of the state, the Antifas and such. Things like that, huh? Why don't those mother effers in jail? You want to put jail a person over every little thing 5 minutes late on parole, even when he called you. Maybe that was racist. She said it was okay, but take a look at Joseph. Maybe she didn't like this kind, if you catch my drift. I think it might have been racism. They like to say racism over every little thing. That's the only thing I could think of. Why did she say, okay, that's okay? She lied to him. She lied, all right? So he served time. I don't know, maybe it was a year. Got out early again. Why? Because Joseph's a model inmate, all right? And when he gets out, this is what he does. He works. Even as a homeless person, he's pushing a lawnmower and carrying a weed eater. I'll get to that in a second. So now let's go. He gets out, and he finds someone from Guatemala took him in, has a tool shop. And that's where Joseph was sleeping, and that's where he was working. Right? So he goes to Dollar General one morning, gets a snack and something to eat and something to drink, leaves. If I remember correctly, someone comes in a little while later, a couple of hours later, maybe in the afternoon, supposedly looking like Joseph. Now, this is a pretty common look. All right? The bald head and such. I mean, you could get guys that look like Joseph. A lot of people nowadays, in my opinion, look the same, similar. I mean, Joseph kind of stands out somewhat, but there are people that resemble Joseph, and there are people that resemble everybody. Doesn't mean it's the exact person. So this other person comes in and steals a $7 toolbox. Now, why would Joseph need to steal a toolbox when, number one, he had all the tools he needed working in his shop? Number two, my mother sends him money. It's been sending him money for years. Whatever he needed. No matter what he needed. Clothes, food, a phone. All right? So how many phones does she send money for? Western Union. So do those jackasses in Maryland, do they know that? Did the cops know that? Did the judicial system know that? Did they bother to investigate? Did they say, well, let me talk to, let me investigate this further? No, the way it looks like they didn't. Because what they did is they accused him of it. The cops had him out there in the cold, freezing for hours, which I find to be abusive, and so does Ma, and so does Joseph. Kind of form of harassment. And it wasn't him. And then a few months later, the guy, someone, I guess at who was it? The Dollar General, someone said, oh yeah, it was him. But there's no video footage. Where was the friggin' video footage? Where's the proof? And who says 2 months later, oh yeah, that's the guy that did it? You do that when in a lineup when it's fresh in your memory. When the crime is fresh, just got committed. You don't think about it for 2 months and mull over it. That's a bunch of bullshit. All right? So Joseph was set up, no proof. I think one public defender even said to Joseph, no proof. Right? So Joseph was in limbo with this thing for a while. They assigned him a public defender. Then a public defender gets moved to another case. Then he gets another one. Then that one gets taken off. And all of a sudden, he's got a court date. In the meantime, he was working, homeless, working. So he couldn't come back to Newnan because he had this legal matter, being framed over there. Dollar General, taking a $7 toolbox. He's got all the friggin' tools he needed. My mother sent him money. If he needed something, he got it. So there's no need to steal. And do criminals that want to go steal and go back into prison, do they work like this? And back-breaking work? Do they work while they're homeless? No, they don't. All right? That's bullshit. And this is an injustice. This is an example of our broken system. But Maryland, in particular, his neck of the woods, Salisbury. All right? What they did is they profiled him. And because he was homeless and because he was in jail a couple of times, he's a scapegoat. They didn't bother friggin' investigating. Did they look at the video? Even the first public defender said, that ain't you. That isn't you. All right? He's crying and everything. He said, I didn't do this, Ma. I didn't do this. I just want to come home. They're screwing me over. Again, getting screwed over. All his life. All right? So, on top of that, get this. About a month or so ago, he's walking back home with his weed eater, carrying it like he does over his shoulder, and he's pushing the lawnmower. Right? Because that's what he did to make money. As a homeless person. How many homeless persons people go out there and bust their ass like that, huh? So, he gets attacked by a couple Puerto Ricans. One of them had a bat behind him. He didn't know there was a second one. As the first one was saying, give me your freaking everything you got. He said, hell no you ain't taking my stuff, Joseph said. Then he gets attacked from behind with a bat. Broken chest bone. Broken chest. Broken, I think, hand. Just all busted up. And he still went to work. So you bastards over there, judicials, I'm sorry for saying this, but this is wrong. This is wrong what you've done to my brother. It's an injustice. All right? Because guess what they did? They didn't give a shit that he was busted up, the judicial system. I don't know, whoever makes the decision, the judge, didn't give a shit about nothing. They don't care. That's why. This poor guy. He had no way of them contacting him. They knew, someone going to tell me the police didn't know that he was homeless? They knew he was homeless. They didn't know he was homeless? How are you going to contact the person that doesn't have a fucking phone? How are you going to contact someone that doesn't have a friggin' address? But yet you said, he said that there was a warrant. A warrant. Let me show you. You see this right here? This morning. He had a warrant. He didn't know anything about a warrant. He knew nothing about a warrant. So, I don't know. So he had a warrant on him, but there was no way he was warned that he had a warrant. No way that he was told that there was some kind of pretrial, whatever it is he had to show up for. All he knew is that he had to show up for court today, which he did. Which he did. All right? And so they put an effing warrant on him, unbeknownst to him. And the court date that he didn't know about. Then they issue a warrant because he didn't show up. That is an injustice. That's setting him up again. And all this because someone said, all this because someone said he stole a $7 toolbox, which he didn't do and didn't even need. So this is effing bullshit. They're setting him up. They set him up several times already. And then now this one again. Saying he had some kind of what? What does it say there? They got 2 warrants out for me. I'm turning myself in because they said I missed 2 dates, free trial, I think pre-trial or something like that. But I don't know what's going on. Imagine this. I have to spend the night at, and he's naming it, what? Sam's, alright. He's scared. Imagine this. Poor Joseph. Poor Joseph. Poor Joseph, man. What they're doing to my brother. So he didn't even know what the hell's going on. How do you expect a homeless person? I want to ask the ones who issued the warrant, the judge, whoever it was. How do you expect a homeless person to know that there are court dates, 2 of them, when he's homeless? Did you send an officer to his homeless tent and let him know about the court date or anything like that? The answer is no. So how can you justify throwing him in jail when he had no clue that he had a court date? Do you see what I'm saying with this? This is really bullshit. Setting him up again, and all this over a $7 toolbox he was accused of stealing. You're costing the taxpayers a lot of money over a $7 fucking toolbox. I'm sorry for cursing, but I am pissed off. So is Ma and a lot of people. This is an injustice what they're doing to him. This poor man has suffered all his life. He paid his dues, and then he gets thrown in jail because of a kook. The cops take the word of his kook girlfriend, said he did something he didn't do. Then he was 5 minutes late to his parole officer. He called ahead of time. She said it was okay. 5 minutes late, had an officer waiting to arrest him, thrown him in jail. More taxpayer money for unnecessarily on the taxpayer's dime. And this time, a $7 toolbox that they cannot prove or bother to try to prove that he did, no proof of no video footage. And this, telling him he had 2 court dates that he missed, and he had no way of knowing it because he's homeless and working and busted up. And they fucking throw him in jail again. You want to call that justice? This is bullshit. It's injustice. Alright? And we got to raise public awareness. Because we got a crooked, corrupt system. You all know it. Hillary's still free. Obama's still free. The rest of them are still free. Alright? And then they go and arrest Julian Assange. Trump, you better pardon Assange. I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see Trump pardon Assange. I don't know if he's in America yet, if he gets to America. Alright? But that aside, I just want to say there's a lot of injustice in America, and you're looking at an example of one right now. A man has paid his dues and gets thrown in jail over someone else's fucking false accusation. His fucking kook girlfriend should have been thrown in jail. Alright, that freaking nut job. Alright, for lying to the cops. And, you know, and then the parole officer is saying, yeah, it's okay if you're 5 minutes late. She should have been. What kind of a person that's going to, if a person's going to do wrong and not show up for parole, they're going to call ahead of time? You know, the thing is, what they don't take into account is maybe Joseph wasn't thinking along those lines, all right? Because he can be a little naive at times, all right? But 5 minutes late and you're thrown in jail. More taxpayer dollar on top of it, more time for Joseph. It's a waste of friggin' money, this system. A waste of money. This is the most over-jailed, imprisoned nation on earth. Over petty bullshit like a $7 toolbox. You're going to get thrown in jail and cost the taxpayer money when this man wants to get on with his life and actually try to have a life for once in his life. It's been nothing but abuse all his life. So I want to know that judge, that he gets some leniency. I want some good news tomorrow. Because I think Joseph's going to go talk to him. I want some good news from that judge. That he's going to throw this out and let Joseph come home finally. And do the right thing. Do the right thing. But until then, I'm going to raise awareness, and if we have to, we're going to go to the news. Whatever we got to do, because Joseph does not belong in jail. He's innocent. And again, an innocent man for the 3rd time getting thrown in jail. Once by his ex-kook girlfriend, the 2nd time by a parole officer because he's 5 minutes late and he called and said he was going to be late and she okayed it. And now this, falsely accused of stealing a $7 toolbox. The man that goes to church on top of it. What kind of ex-con continues to go to church? Not many do. Not many do. They find Jesus in prison and lose him and forget about him afterwards. But not Joseph. He still praises God. So let's all pray that they do the right thing by Joseph and release my brother. And let him come home and start a life for once. A normal life. He's very talented. Horticulture, agriculture, I think, carpentry. You name it, mechanic work you saw him doing,
All he needs is a fair shake. And quit freaking framing my brother, all right? You got no proof on shit that he did. I want to see the proof. Where's the proof? The video footage, huh? And she said bullshit. Since when is that justice? Because so-and-so said something. You gotta prove it. Did you prove it? No, you did not. And the 2 court dates that he didn't know anything about. You call that fair? They abuse the homeless, they mistreat the homeless, they don't care about the homeless, and they damn sure don't care about even the non-homeless like us. Don't kid yourself, they'll treat you this way too. The thing is, they have to come serve you if you got an address. But if you don't have an address, how the frig are you gonna get served anything and know about a court date, much less 2 of them? Alright, so this is bullshit, it's corrupt. I want to see justice really served. Alright? Anybody that's crooked in the government needs to face justice, not Joseph. And these freaking people that lie on him about $7 toolbox they didn't even freaking need, never stolen in the first place, and they can't prove it. It's bullshit. So I want to see some good news. Pray up, people. Pray up that tomorrow's a miraculous day. Till next time, poor Joseph received the shock treatment. Bad. They treating this shock bad. This one right here. He needs to get out and get free. An innocent man framed. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.